There is a moment most women never notice. It happens quietly, without ceremony, without cruelty, and without apology. It is the moment a man decides you are not the woman he will build with, but the woman he will keep nearby, in case the building collapses. You will not feel rejected. You will feel included. And that is the trap. Here is the uncomfortable truth that keeps therapists busy and simps confused. Men do not keep emotional backups by accident. They curate them. They select them carefully. And they do it with the same cold logic they use to diversify investments. Not because they are evil, but because redundancy feels intelligent when you fear scarcity. If this offends you, good. Offense is the tax you pay for clarity. An emotional backup is not a woman a man disrespects openly. She is a woman he values quietly, but never enough to prioritize. She is reliable. She is warm. She is available without demanding structural change. She listens. She reassures. She soothes. She absorbs uncertainty, so he does not have to face it alone. Men do not sleep on emotional backups first. They lean on them. They vent to them. They check in. They keep the line open. Sex may come later, or never. That is irrelevant. The function is emotional insurance. Men who are honest will never admit this because it sounds predatory. Men who are dishonest will deny it because it exposes the mechanism. But men who understand power recognize it instantly. An emotional backup exists to stabilize a man while he pursues someone else, recovers from loss, or waits for a better option to materialize. She is the psychological equivalent of a spare tire. Not flashy, not exciting, but comforting to know it is there. The cruel irony is that emotional backups are often the women who believe they are being chosen slowly. They confuse proximity with progress. They mistake consistency for investment. Men allow this misunderstanding because it benefits them. Men keep emotional backups when they want intimacy without obligation, when they want validation without accountability, when they want access without risk. This is not about love. This is about containment. A man who feels uncertain about his value, his desirability, or his future seeks emotional anchors. Women who provide emotional stability without demanding clarity become anchors by default. They ground him. They do not challenge him, they become familiar. Familiarity is not intimacy. Familiarity is comfort. And comfort is useful, not precious. Here is where simps embarrass themselves. They believe men only do this to women they do not respect. That is false. Men often respect emotional backups more than the women they chase recklessly. Respect does not equal priority. Respect can coexist with avoidance. Men prioritize women who introduce risk into their emotional ecosystem. Women who could leave. Women who do not linger. Women who make him feel evaluated rather than accommodated. The emotional backup does the opposite. She accommodates first and hopes evaluation comes later. It rarely does. Men categorize women quickly, not consciously, but efficiently. Romantic prospect, sexual diversion, emotional stabilizer, placeholder, backup. The labels are not spoken, but the behaviors reveal them. Once a woman is categorized as an emotional backup, the relationship becomes asymmetrical. He shares vulnerability but withholds commitment. He invites emotional labor, but delays emotional security. He reaches out when he is low, not when he is clear. This is why emotional backups often feel exhausted but hopeful. They are constantly managing his moods while waiting for his decision. He never feels the same urgency because his needs are already met. Men do not promote emotional backups. They replace them. The reason is simple. The role itself eliminates pressure. Pressure is the engine of commitment. Without it, men drift. There is research that accidentally exposes this while pretending to be neutral. A study published in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin in 2015 by Mogilsky and Welling examined what they called mate retention strategies and backup partners. They found that individuals who perceived themselves as having lower mate value were significantly more likely to maintain backup partners for emotional security. Translation, without academic perfume. Men who fear loss keep options close to regulate anxiety. Notice the word regulate. Emotional backups are not desired. They are used. This does not mean the man hates her. Often he feels fondness, gratitude even. But gratitude does not produce exclusivity. Fear of loss does. Men do not keep emotional backups when they are confident in their primary bond. They keep them when they are uncertain or opportunistic, or both. Now let us talk about why certain women become emotional backups, while others never do. Emotional backups are emotionally generous without being emotionally scarce. They give empathy freely. They reassure easily. They stay accessible. They respond quickly. They prioritize connection over leverage. Men sense this immediately. They relax into it. They stop performing. They stop proving. They stop escalating. Women who are difficult to read, slow to invest, and selective with emotional access do not become backups. They become problems men want to solve or prizes men want to secure. The difference is not kindness. It is containment. Men keep emotional backups because they can. Because the woman allows the role. Because she mistakes emotional intimacy for relational direction. This is where dark humor enters the room. Emotional backups are often told they are special. Which is true. In the same way, a favorite chair is special. Comfortable. Familiar. Not something you redesign your house around. Men will often tell emotional backups that timing is off, that they are not ready, that they are healing, that they value the connection too much to rush it. This language is not lies. It is deflection. Timing is never the issue. Incentive is. A man who wants a woman structures his life around her. A man who wants an emotional backup structures his feelings around her. One is costly. The other is efficient. Now pay attention to how men behave with emotional backups. They disappear when happy and reappear when destabilized. They go silent during new romances and resurface after disappointment. They keep the emotional cord intact while exploring elsewhere. Women interpret this as confusion. It is not confusion. It is compartmentalization. Men are excellent at compartmentalizing emotional resources. They do not feel guilt the way women expect them to. They feel pragmatism. The emotional backup is the woman he calls when he needs to feel understood, but not accountable. She becomes his therapist without the invoice, his refuge without the responsibility. And yes, there are women who play this role intentionally. Those women deserve credit, not condemnation. They extract influence, information, and leverage while staying unattached. They do not wait. They observe. The problem is not being an emotional backup. The problem is being an unconscious one. Unconscious emotional backups suffer. Conscious ones study. If you are wondering whether you are in this role, look at the direction of energy. Are you building toward something or maintaining something that never changes? Does he move closer after vulnerability, or does he retreat into ambiguity? Men do not accidentally stall relationships. Stalling is a decision. Now here is the part that will irritate men who like plausible deniability. Emotional backups are often women. Men consider for later. Later is not a plan. Later is a delay tactic that allows men to avoid confrontation with their own indecision. Later means not now and not never. It is the sweet spot where men enjoy benefits without choosing. Men who truly see a future do not keep backups. They eliminate distractions. They narrow focus. They simplify. Men who keep backups are hedging against loneliness, against rejection, against their own mediocrity. The backup gives them emotional oxygen, while they chase something that excites their ego more. This is why emotional backups often hear about the other woman. He overshares. He vents. He seeks validation for his choices. He uses her empathy to soothe his cognitive dissonance. She listens. She advises. She supports. She waits. Waiting is participation. Men do not reward waiting. They reward scarcity. And before the comment section fills with moral outrage, understand this. Men are not villains for optimizing their emotional environment. Women are not victims for participating. Power dynamics exist whether you acknowledge them or not. The only losing position is ignorance. When a woman stops providing emotional labor without structure, the dynamic collapses. The man either escalates or disappears. Both outcomes are information. Men who lose emotional backups often panic briefly. They feel the absence. They test access. If access is restored, they relax again. If it is not, they reassess value. This reassessment is the only moment leverage appears. Men do not upgrade emotional backups because they suddenly realize her worth. They upgrade because losing her created discomfort. Discomfort is the precursor to commitment. If you remove discomfort, you remove urgency. If you remove urgency, you remain a resource. And this is where the conversation turns from observation to strategy. Because understanding why men keep emotional backups is useless unless you understand how men respond when the backup role is revoked. That reaction tells you everything you need to know about where you stand and where you never did. The men who keep emotional backups are not confused romantics. They are risk managers with anxiety problems. They fear emptiness more than dishonesty. They fear silence more than confrontation. So they build small emotional warehouses and stock them with women who feel safe, forgiving, and endlessly patient. Patience is the most dangerous trait a woman can bring into modern dating. It convinces men they have time. Time kills urgency. Urgency is the only thing that forces a decision. An emotional backup is not a woman a man plans to discard. She is a woman he plans to pause. He presses mute on her future while leaving the connection running in the background. She is not rejected. She is deferred. Deferred. People rarely notice they are losing. Men keep emotional backups because they can externalize emotional regulation. Instead of confronting their own instability, they outsource it. Instead of sitting alone with doubt, they text the woman who always understands. Instead of facing rejection, they keep reassurance within arm's reach. And here is where the humor turns black. Emotional backups are often praised for their emotional intelligence. Men compliment their maturity, their depth, their empathy. These compliments are not lies. They are payments. Emotional wages paid instead of relational equity. Men pay emotional backups in words because words are cheap and renewable. Commitment is expensive and irreversible. Now notice something subtle. Men rarely brag about emotional backups. They hide them. They do not show them off. They do not integrate them into their lives. They keep them separate, off stage, available, but invisible. Visibility creates accountability. Emotional backups exist in shadow. This is why you rarely see an emotional backup meet his friends in a meaningful way. You rarely see long-term planning. You rarely see escalation. The connection exists in a loop. Comfort, distance, return, repeat. Men keep women in loops when they do not want endings. Endings require clarity. Loops preserve access. The women who escape this role do not argue their way out. They exit behaviorally. They stop absorbing emotional overflow. They stop being the place he goes to feel better about choices he refuses to make. And here is where men panic quietly. When an emotional backup withdraws, the man feels exposed. Not heartbroken, exposed. The safety net disappears. He feels the floor beneath his feet. This is when men suddenly reappear with intensity. They check in. They reminisce. They apologize vaguely. They imply future possibilities without defining them. This is not romance. This is retrieval. Women who misinterpret this retrieval as transformation re-enter the loop. Women who observe instead of react see the truth. If access is restored without structure, nothing has changed. Men escalate only when retrieval fails. Now let me pause here, because this is where many of you watching already know what role you are in and want out, without burning everything down. This is exactly why I offer one-on-one coaching. The explanation is pinned in the comment section. Coaching is not therapy, and it is not motivational nonsense. It is pattern correction. We dissect your specific dynamic, identify where leverage was lost, where emotional labor is leaking, and how to recalibrate without emotional explosions. You get an external perspective that is not emotionally invested. You get efficiency instead of overthinking. You get a strategy tailored to your temperament instead of copying someone else's chaos. If you already ordered coaching and think you were ignored, check your spam or promotions folder. Those emails love hiding there, like guilty accomplices. The landing page is done and will be added to the description and pinned comment. Go there. Read the free PDF. Watch the free video. They explain this entire emotional backup dynamic with structure instead of wishful thinking. Subscribe to the newsletter while you are there, because that is where coaching discounts appear without warning. And yes, the course called The Feminine Game is available. If you ordered it already, check your spam or promotions folder. I sent emails to everyone who ordered it. Again, email systems enjoy sabotage. I also created a new channel called Ex-Pimp Explains Men Masterclass. I post twice a week. The videos are around 50 minutes long and go into territory short content avoids. There is a link explaining the new channel if you want context before subscribing. Back to the anatomy of emotional backups. Men do not keep emotional backups when they feel powerful. They keep them when they feel uncertain. Power removes the need for redundancy. Confidence simplifies choices. The men most likely to maintain emotional backups are men who oscillate between grandiosity and insecurity. On good days, they feel like kings. On bad days, they need reassurance that they still matter. Emotional backups smooth out that oscillation. This is why emotional backups often feel like they are carrying him. Because they are. They stabilize his self-image while he explores elsewhere. And let me be very clear. Some women enjoy this role because it gives them proximity without risk. They get access to a man's inner world without the burden of his life. They stay emotionally superior. They observe. They collect information. These women are not victims. They are students. The problem is pretending you are a student when you are actually invested. Investment without control breeds resentment. Resentment poisons attraction. Men sense resentment even when it is unspoken. It makes them withdraw further. This deepens the loop. The exit is not dramatic. It is quiet. Emotional backups who leave successfully do not announce it. They simply become unavailable in the ways that mattered. They stop responding immediately. They stop processing his feelings. They stop being the place he lands emotionally. Men notice absence faster than confrontation. Now here is the brutal truth that most people will not say out loud. Many men marry the woman who was never their emotional backup. They marry the woman who made emotional access conditional. They marry the woman who required structure before intimacy deepened. The emotional backup often attends the wedding in spirit, wondering what she did wrong. She did nothing wrong. She did too much without terms. Men do not reward unconditional access. They exploit it unconsciously and resent it later. If this sounds harsh, good. Reality is not here to comfort you. It is here to orient you. Men keep emotional backups because it works. It keeps them regulated, validated, and supported while preserving freedom. They stop doing it only when the cost exceeds the benefit. Your role determines the cost. If you are always available, the cost is zero. If your absence disrupts his emotional equilibrium, the cost rises. Men commit when the cost of not committing becomes intolerable. Everything else is noise. If this video irritated you, stay with that feeling. Irritation means something here touched a nerve you have been protecting. If it clarified something you already suspected, even better. If you liked this video, subscribe. If you hated it but watched to the end, subscribe anyway. Resistance is just curiosity wearing armor. And comment below. Have you ever realized you were someone's emotional backup after the fact? Or have you watched a man panic the moment that access disappeared? Say it out loud. The comments tend to be more honest than most relationships. Disclaimer. This content was generated with the assistance of artificial intelligence and is designed for commentary, analysis, and educational discussion. It reflects simulated perspectives and narrative analysis, not factual claims about real individuals. Viewer discretion is advised.